I'm here with the Black Belt Barrister, and we're here to reveal some secrets. Welcome to Popcorn Palace. I am Andy Signorn in honor of Harry v. Meghan. Sorry, Meghan v. Harry, which is available now online. I hope you guys checked it out. I am so happy to have Black Belt Barrister himself, Daniel's here. How are you doing, man?
Fantastic. How are you, my friend?
First of all, I have to publicly thank you. So grateful for your help in being in our doc. You were fantastic. Daniel shot his part himself with his cameras. It looked awesome. And it fit in perfectly. You came in sort of near the end as I needed some stuff filled in. And so grateful for your barrister insight. And he gave it his insight in the documentary, more legally, more fairly. But I thought today we could, in honor of your second channel, if you haven't subscribed to Black Belt Secrets, where he gets a little bit more opinionated, I thought it'd be fun to get some of your opinions on this experience of the documentary, the divorce rumors in general, and also I saw some news that I didn't get to talk about yet, the fact that apparently it looks like Harry and Meghan were snubbed over Christmas. What do we think about this in comparison with all the other news? So let's get to it. So Daniel, lovely to have you back. Always a pleasure. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. Thank you for being here. I want to start right with the sort of divorce angle. You gave some very good insight legally as to how things would go down. We sort of speculate, guys, and get into details, but I want to get your opinion now. Now we know we're not wishing divorce. We wish them well. We really do genuinely wish them well, but Harry's been out there really amplifying this, which is kind of shocking that he even sort of took the bait. Do you sense, in your opinion now, that this is more realistic than maybe they're trying to play it?
Well, let me start by saying, of course, we wish them well. No one wishes ill on anybody, and certainly not divorce and separations. And having been the lawyer throughout cases that's happened, and I get the first phone call, right from that very first phone call, someone says, I think my marriage is falling apart. It does sort of break your heart a little bit, even as the lawyer. So nobody wishes that on anybody. So just to say that, first of all. But coming to this, and I think what you've just said there, Andy, taking the bait is probably the phrase that I would use that would form and inform my opinion on all of this. Because with lots of these things, I mean, I've read various things about me, obviously, with so many hundreds, millions of views on my channel. People have various thoughts, they leave comments, and you leave it. You don't rise to it. This is what we call the Streisand effect. You know, you give attention to something, and it absolutely blows up, and that's what you don't do. So, taking the bait, it seems he has, whether it's true or not. But all of that, now coming to the real point, which really informs my opinion, is when there are so many stories and they come about through so many quote unquote sources, which could be the person themselves. And very often when they say, you know, a source close to Mr. and Mrs. X, it's very often the person themselves. Or at the very least, it's someone that has been told to tell the media this, you know, go and tell the media, spin them this line and story and so on. And when there are so many bits and pieces floating around and so many sources quoted to say, well, they just going separate ways for professional reasons and doing their own thing. One that I read, you know, said Meghan didn't want to be a package deal or seen as a package deal. Again, source close to, but they're very much working together now. So many of these things coming together. They cannot all be just coincidence and rumors. In my opinion, there must be something to it. And even if it's not something that ultimately leads to a separation, which of course we hope that it doesn't. We hope that no one leads to a separation like that. But with so many different things, there must be more to it, and that would have to be my opinion.
Yeah, well said. That's where I'm at too. It's the fact that he actually addressed it at that conference. I mean, I guess he was sort of put on the spot. The interviewer was being kind of clever in how he sort of snuck it in there, but still, it was really a non-denial denial, which again also sort of left it more speculative. I mean, going to this more recent news too of the fact that now they're snubbed for Christmas. There's no doubt there's a lot of royal drama, family drama rather, and there's a lot of good they have to make up with the royal family if they're ever going to be able to go back and get on those terms. I can't imagine that stress has helped the marriage, to be honest. And we look at Meghan's relationship with her own family and now the royal family and now how Harry is distant from his own family. There's a lot of sort of pushing away from people, which we've seen firsthand with Meghan, right? And now Harry's sort of doing it as well. My speculation and my opinions come from that sort of basis of the people that Meghan, and I've talked to some of them off the record, on the record, that have been just sort of betrayed by Meghan's quest to I don't know, continue to her own growth, she's left a lot of bodies in her wake. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you think that's another sort of example as to why so many people think there's really some smoke to this fire?
It's very much the feeling I get, yes, because again, as you say, with so many stories, so much tension, so much family tension, there are a few things that are the main culprits for causing a separation, leading to a separation. One of them is money. Now, I think people would be, with respect, I think naive to think that someone has a lot of money, they have no problems. That can be a big problem by itself because if they have a lot of money, they develop a certain lifestyle, and the certain lifestyle costs money. And if the money runs out, the lifestyle falls apart, and that leads to family problems as well.
Like
Just
they
as
say, mo money, mo problems. Come on.
Absolutely. And so that is just as much a problem as living in poverty, quite frankly. In fact, I mean, there are a lot of instances of living really, really to your basic means can bring families together. So it's not as simple as that. So money is a big thing that plays into it. Family is a huge thing that plays into it. Whether there's family tension, disagreements on fundamental principles, very often around children, around housing, where to live, education, fundamental principles and values and things like that. If they are different or if there are tensions there, that can tear families apart. Now here we have probably the most unique situation that we will ever come across. We've got, a prince here, married and gone abroad to the States, and then there's tension with the family and the books and the memoirs and the interviews, the tell all secret, spill everything, almost everything. We said he had enough for another book, and I think that without giving too much away here, I think that was as much perceived by some people as a bit of a threat to say there's lots more I can tell here. So almost like that is perpetuating and hanging over, and now coming back almost as something to force a rekindle of the family. So yeah, there's a lot of tension there, and I think with all that tension, you can form an opinion based on that with the way that they act, going to events separately and so on. They all have to be intertwined somehow.
One thing we talk about in the documentary, which is out now, is this. You brought up the tell-all biography, so I want to make that a point of Meghan making her own. Like this is a AI generated sort of fake cover, but in all the experts we spoke about, that was one thing that came up a lot, was the fact that Harry's book will be used against him, and they share sort of the examples as to why, but also specifically how Meghan has been sort of holding on to hers. And I put this one together. I just thought it'd be a nice spare and unfair. I feel like a good couple of books by these two. But as this isn't real, but the idea of this feels very real. Does it? Do you agree? Like the idea of when she's at her last, mark. Like, do you think she's saving that in a way to sort of rewrite the story in her favor if and when she needs to tell it?
That's certainly the modern thing, isn't it? Putting everything down in a book, and it's someone's way of having their say, putting everything in writing, literally in writing themselves, putting their own points of view across, and telling it their way, much like telling their history, their stories, and just as Harry did, he put down what he had to say, and I think he was starting with Harry. I think he was banking that no one would respond. No one, no one's coming back with a rebuttal book. No one's coming back with their own book to say, well, actually, this is what really happened. And then you've got this to and fro. That's not going to happen. As the phrase goes, never complain, never explain. But yeah, this
He knew
would
he'd
be
be
a natural
unchallenged.
progression
Yeah,
for her. Sorry?
he knew he'd be unchallenged, but she's the one who could eventually challenge him and reframe the narrative. I would think. No.
Absolutely. Then that's where I'm going. That would be, to me, that would be a natural progression, especially if, well, whether or not there's any movement towards a separation. Again, to stress, we hope not. But if whether or not there were any movement towards a separation, that would be a natural progression. With or without all of that going on, that would be a natural progression for her to put her stories down in a book. And if there were tension between Harry and Meghan, then it would not surprise me if that she were to include things in there from his book to use against him, for example, because let's not forget that she will be advised on how to do this. No one is born knowing how to put these things down in a book. Whether you've got a story to tell or not, someone will help you tell that story. Your literary agent will say, right, well, what do you have in the past that you can bring in to back up these stories, to bolster your point of view? They will be firmly advised on how to do that, if not in advance, to then keep those things for future use.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely spot on. I mean, it's definitely a card she can play that she's wisely not played yet. And now, given everything that's happening, it almost feels smart for her to wait until she really needs to use it, because I do think there's going to be more to it. Because even if they don't divorce, it does feel like their stock is going to start plummeting. It's not doing very well. I don't expect her show to do very well. Their stock just isn't worth anything right now. Feels like people are very tired of them. Even I noticed on my channel and other channels, like, no one really wants to hear about these two anymore. People are moving on with their lives. They need to figure out a way to be relevant again. Their charity endeavors, whatever they want to keep trying to do, none of it's really sticking with the media like it used to. So I do think at some point this is another way to re-victimize herself and try to rewrite the narrative and see what she can do with it. But we shall see. All I know is if you want to see more of the nitty gritty legal and speculative sort of thoughts and theories as to custody and locations of where this would happen, and can the king take control? A lot of these questions and issues will be addressed in Meghan v. Harry. If you haven't already watched it, please check it out over on our Patreon. Appreciate you, Daniel, for being there so much. And we have a second one he's going to be in and more being involved. So stay tuned, guys. It's not the end of it. We got another one coming along with some more documentaries on other subjects. But such a pleasure to always have you and talk to you. Make sure you guys subscribe to him over at Black Belt Barrister on YouTube. Look at that, pushing 700K. He's getting close to me. And then Black Belt Secrets already near 200K. Let's get him over those humps. Always appreciate your work, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys all for watching. Subscribe to all the channels. Stay tuned if you haven't already. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash the like button and leave your comments on what you think about Meghan Spare. Do you think Unfair is a title? Got a better name? Let me know in the comments down below. And thanks so much for watching. And also click right there, the Patreon logo on the left. That'll take you to meghanvharry.com.